Out of storage.
There we go. All right, guys. We are live here at Fish North Georgia Tuesday Nighter. Got a great one in store for you guys. We're going to talk to one of the hottest young anglers in North Georgia, Mr. Dylan Akins, here tonight. We're going to kind of go over his win at the Bassmaster College Classic. All right, and also his qualifying. I said that right, into the Bassmaster Classic. So got a lot of great stuff ahead for you guys. What's up, you guys in the comment section that are here already? Hey, listen, if you're watching Fish North Georgia on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Click that notification bell and follow us on all our social media at Fish North Georgia. And I want to take a second to introduce my new crew for Tuesday nights, for the Tuesday Nighters. So back there running the board, I'm going to give him some love. Now, listen, he's just getting started, so we're going to take it easy on him tonight. Alex, is it Purrs?
Purrs.
Yes. Purrs. So Alex Purrs is going to run the board for us from here on out on Tuesday night. So in all his glory back there. So got to make sure I got to get his confidence up to interrupt me and ask questions. But you're going to do just fine back there. And to my right here, one Clint Bartlett. You guys have seen him on the show. So we're going to train him so that if I ever want to take a night off, you can run the show.
That sounds like a plan.
Good, because I need some time off, man. So,
yes, you do.
Anyway, I got one quick announcement. I want to say this one more time for you guys up in Union County, the Fishers of Hope. They've got a benefit tournament this Saturday, I believe, and it's going to support the Union County FFA. It's October 12th, that's right, 2024 at Gibson Cove Boat Ramp on Lake Chatuge. Entry fee $60, weigh-ins at $2, $10 barbecue plate. Big fish at $100. Small fish for guys like me, $50. It's a guaranteed payback with 20 boats. And if you want to take part in this, contact Tony Watkins at 706-897-7557 or K Watkins 706-207-6842. So wanted to make sure I got that out again because that tournament's coming up. A lot of great fishing's been going on. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, but pop this on our guest right here there, Alex. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that trophy right there. So we got Dylan Akins. I used to call you Akins. I'm finally figured it out. You ain't got a daggum T in your name. Dylan Akins, the 2024 college bracket champion of the Bassmaster College Classic. So how are you doing there, kid? You can smile now.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Still a little speechless, I think, here and there, but it feels good.
It should feel good. Like I was telling you before the show, this is the only tournament this year that I've watched from start to finish. I watched you the whole time. So, I'm invested in you now. You understand that comes with some consequences now because you got to answer that phone when I call and ring up. But no, in all seriousness, though, dude, I was really proud of the performance because you beat how many anglers started off that?
So it starts off, you got your regular season. So to the classic bracket, you have your 2 trail angler of the year winners, and then your overall angler of the year winner, and then your winners from the national championships. So you shrink from almost 2,000 college kids down to 8.
Down to 8.
And then down to 1.
Yeah. And I thought the really cool thing about it was the bracket format. Like I said, what was the kid you fished against on day 3? He had 16 something. You remember his name?
His name is Lander University. Andrew Bland.
Andrew, okay.
Yeah,
I felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
Because you put him out, but he had a higher weight than those other 2 guys on that. But that's the way the bracket's set up. So tell me a little bit about the pressure. I want to know. We'll talk about all the accolades and everything, but the pressure going in there.
I think it was I felt pressured. I think I didn't sleep as good as I normally do, but, I really just kind of, I don't know. I didn't feel that pressured, honestly. I think once I went out there, I felt some pressure in the morning. When I went out there and really, especially when you catch your limit real quick or catch your first fish, kind of get things going, it takes it off of you. Then you just fish better. I think everybody fishes better when you got a limit in the boat and you're trying to cull. I think it's just a sense of relief. But I think especially me personally, I'll be nervous before blast off, but then you make that run down to the lake and it just kind of wears off of you as the day goes on.
And what lake was it held at?
Tim's Ford in Winchester, Tennessee.
So tell everybody a little bit about that lake, just kind of give them a perspective, because that's not one of the more well-known lakes in Tennessee. Do you know of it?
Yeah, I know of it.
You know everything, but I mean,
no, not at all. But I've never fished there.
You never fished there? I've never heard of it till this.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. He gave us a little packet with a map, and I looked at it a little bit. But I was like, I'm going to go straight to YouTube. So I went straight to YouTube, and the only thing I found on YouTube was buzzbait videos. That is it. I saw nothing else, and I was like, I'd like throwing a buzzbait, but that's not exactly something I do every day on Lanier. Certain times of year I'll do it, but I was like, man, this is going to be interesting. So, but I knew it was like a big buzzbait lake, but I was like, at the same time, there's got to be something else. There always is on every lake, no matter where you go. There's some kind of off the wall, offshore type thing. So
right, and it has the trifecta. It has smallmouth spots and largemouth, right?
Yeah, it has spots in it. I don't even know if anybody weighed one in.
I don't remember seeing
predominantly largemouth and smallmouth and meanmouth. So we had a big discussion before about the meanmouth have to weigh in. The big thing there is the smallmouth got to be 18 inches, and you can catch a 3-pound smallmouth and it'd be 17 and a half.
Y'all
easily.
did several of those,
yeah. So even a meanmouth had to be 18 inches too, which is, I guess, determined by where the gill plate lines up with the eye, I think, or something like that. Yeah. So that was a thing too they had to discuss.
And for those of you that don't know, a meanmouth is technically a hybrid between a smallmouth and a spot, right?
And a largemouth.
And a largemouth.
Yeah,
it's got 3.
I didn't know the largemouth.
No spot.
Well, what do we got up here in Blue Ridge? Is that largemouth and not spots on the meanmouth?
It can be both.
It can be both. So it's just a hybrid smallmouth and
spot. Because I've caught some at Chickamauga that are hybrid spot and smallmouth, and that evidently I just learned that they have a hybrid largemouth and smallmouth.
Okay, so I hadn't heard of that, but they're all called meanmouth.
I didn't either until then. Yeah, they look interesting.
Yeah. Okay, well there you go. So Philip Hunt in the comment section. Dylan is the man. He showed up and showed out when we held the first AFFL Open tournament on Hartwell. So did that just happen?
Yeah, that was, I think, 3 weeks ago.
Okay. All right, there you go. What is the AFFL? I know I've talked to them off camera a little bit. I think
it's something, I want to say Armed Forces Fishing League, maybe. It may not be exactly right, but I think that's what it is.
Is that what it is? Okay, Armed Forces Fishing League. Well, there you go. So like getting out and about and, anytime you want to jump in, make sure, remember, I thought you can jump in and correct me right here. So, you fished 3 days on this tournament? 4 days. Okay, so there was 16 on the first day?
8. So the first 2 days.
I tried to do my math. It's not the best part of me.
Yeah, the first 2 days, everybody fishes. And then you shrink to 4.
Yeah, okay. So, your partner in college, Chase.
Yeah.
He fished that first round, right? Not the first round when they got it down to the final 8, but didn't he fish a little bit? Wasn't he in there on one day?
The first 2 days he was in there. He was right at the cut line.
He barely missed the cut line.
He barely missed the cut, but he fished before the cut.
Yeah.
Did you guys share any information on the lake? I mean, how much did you guys talk? Because I know you're tight in college and all that.
We talked a little bit, but like most of the adjustments I found 2 key patterns of practice, a Demiki and then the top water. And we kind of discussed it. He was doing a lot on the Demiki, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing that too, but you might want to try out the top water a little bit. And I think as the tournament went on, I picked up on these fish, they've seen too many Demikis. They're just not reacting right. They're blasting my top water, and I can't tell them that midday, there's no service at that place. So it's not like I could throw them a bone. But that's when I just pretty much switched to almost strictly Demiki strictly top water unless they were way down in the water column.
Okay, so what kind of top water were you throwing?
Chug bug.
Chug bug.
Yep.
Chug bug, just an old school chug bug like we throw here on Lanier.
Yep, old school metallic chug bug.
Now, how much of your Lanier experience played into that decision?
Probably a good bit. So years ago, this is probably, I don't know, I think my freshman year, sophomore year, they had a big bass on Kentucky Lake, and it was the only other September tournament I fished for smallmouth. And I noticed, I was like, man, these fish hate a chug bug in September on this place. I was like, they just can't stand it. I throw other stuff, but there's everybody was like talking about these fish hate a chug bug. And I was like, all right. So I got up there and I was like, I started off throwing like a walking bait for them when I'd see them up on the surface. And I was like, they're like coming up and trying to eat it, but they're not eating it. They're swirling on it, following it. And then by the time the whole school finds it, you're done far away. So I was like, I got to think of something else that's going to make them react. And that's when it clicked. And I was like, chug bug.
Chug bug.
Yep.
What do you think about that decision?
I like it because it's something different. Like we all think about it, and that's the thing with older lures is we get so hung up on the new. We kind of forget about the old stuff sometimes.
Yeah, and the chug bug. And what color? I mean, it was a chrome and blue.
Yeah, I threw chrome and blue. I think probably any color would have worked that was like somewhat chrome, maybe even a white one.
Right.
I never even tried them. I just stuck with what worked. So.
Well, if it was working, so
yeah.
Pull up that comment again from Philip Hunt. And Philip, I remembered it. I couldn't remember exactly. AFFL is Armed Forces Fishing League for active duty military veterans and first responders. For active duty military, veterans and first responders, it is a Bassmaster Team Championship trail. So there you go. So we need to do a little bit better job of promoting you guys. I think I've had a message or two from you about talking about doing maybe a show about it. So we definitely need to do that. Tony, great job on the win. So, we're going to talk about the tournament and the fishing a little bit more, but I mean, what's it feel like? Honestly, when you see somebody in the comment section right there, they say, great job on the win, man. What does it feel like to be able to look at it and say, yeah, how long have they been doing this? The college bracket. It's not been that long, has it?
It's been a little while.
I think they were just starting it when I started in college. So I'd say like 2015, 2016, maybe a couple years earlier than that.
Maybe 10 years at the most.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that. So there's only 10 people in the world have that trophy. Have you thought about that?
It's crazy.
8 billion people or whatever we got, and 10 of them have that trophy, and you're one of them. So has it sunk in?
I think it does here and there. I think when it first happened, I was like shell shocked, what happened. But like, this might sound crazy, but I'll just like be randomly doing something, and then I'll just like think, oh, you're going to the Bassmaster Classic in March. And then I'll just get all excited again. So it's just like kind of a weird feeling. It's something like I always dreamed of, but I didn't expect it to happen now. I was like, I'll fish opens for a few years. Maybe I'll hit one, get a win, and go to the Classic. But I never was like thinking, you're going to be going to the Classic like this year.
Like, you're going to be fishing against some big time hammers.
Oh, yeah.
Big time hammers. I bet your ass is going to be nervous before that blast off.
What are some of your memories of Bassmaster Classics in the past? Like, there always been a drive for you to fish them? Like, has it been something that was like always a dream? Or
Yeah, so I think the first one I went to was Hartwell, and I can't remember the exact years they went, but
2018.
It might have been the one Jordan Lee won, maybe.
Yeah, 2018.
And I just like walked in there. I was like, dang, they have bass fish getting weighed in a stadium, I was like, this is crazy. And I like saw all the booths, all the people screaming, the drive-through thing, and I was like, this is insane. Like I've never seen anything like this. And I think being like so young then, I just thought it was cool, and I don't think it ever like sunk in actually how big it is until now, when I'm like just like looking up things and getting these messages, and I'm just amazed.
Yeah, Jordan Lee said that was one of the biggest factors to him going back to the elites.
It's because of that stage,
that stadium, stage, the fan interaction.
100%.
Yeah, so I can see that. Now let's see. Ron Swinford, back to the chug bug real quick, and then we're gonna get on this. Fish get conditioned. Yeah, well, there you go, dog. You're getting it. Fish get conditioned to the sound and the action of the newer baits. That old chug bug kind of throws them a different sound and action, and it could be. But it's also comes back to old Tim Hancock. You've seen Tim on the podcast before. Mm-hmm. If it works, why do so? You know how he is. He's old school.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It still catches bait. Philip Hunt says we have an open benefit tournament on Hartwell this Saturday, but Dylan is going to show up and take my money again. So anyway, you guys check out that Armed Forces Fishing League, though. We'll start throwing you guys some love. Andy Anderson right there. You know who that is?
I do.
You know Andy?
I do know Andy. He's
awesome.
He
is awesome. Dylan, has it sunk in that you'll be fishing the Bassmaster Classic in March? Who is going to be your guest at the Night of Champions?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's an easy one. That's going to be my girlfriend, Alyssa.
You ain't going to take your dad?
No, it's got to be a date.
Oh, is it a date thing?
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
like yeah.
Come on, Daddy.
Listen, I thought it was like you could
It's
take.
not like a sponsor walkthrough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you might
it's
want
a
to take
formal dinner.
You might want to take your girl. My bad on that one. But okay, well, think about that though. You're gonna be all dressed up.
Oh yeah.
Got your lady by your side.
You don't even get to wear a hat.
You can't wear a hat.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. No.
Hinkle Marine is not gonna like that because you're not gonna have their hat on right there. But you're gonna be hobnobbing, and everybody's gonna know it. That's that college kid. That's that college kid. Think about that. Has that sunk in that you're gonna be hanging out with them, eating a fine meal and all that, but you're gonna be looking across and there'll be Jordan Lee or just whoever's there, just any of them.
I think it's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
There's not much you can say, is
there?
How about this? Is there one professional angler right now that you would like to meet, number one, and then number two would like to beat? I know you'd like to win all of them, but like you say, if I can just beat this guy because you look up to him or something.
I mean, I want to meet Brandon Polnick. probably, because that's one that I've watched from the beginning. You know, he
Yeah.
makes really, really good and professional content. Like his stuff is really well thought out, I think.
Right.
And I don't know who I want to beat. I mean, I will obviously want to beat them all, but
Yeah, but I mean, like just or
Um,
somebody you look up to. Like if I even can compete with this guy,
probably, I don't know how to say his name right. Kiyoya Fujita.
Yeah, Koya Fujita.
Koya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's a damn good angler.
He's good.
We might know a guy that knows Brandon.
Yep.
Yeah.
We might know.
Yeah.
We might know a guy.
Might just know a guy.
We might just know a guy. Spot choker. There we go. Dylan is a great young man. He's come a long way in a short period of time. And so, I mean, seriously, this is your senior year at Emmanuel, right? And then you're done.
Graduated.
You've
in
already
May.
graduated.
Yep.
I can't keep up with that college eligibility and all that stuff. So you've graduated, and now you're going to, because of this win, you have qualified for the Opens, and so you're going to fish those.
Yep.
Now tell everybody the cool thing, because it's kind of part of the prize that he got about the Opens.
Yeah, so the Opens are paid for, and then I also get a 1-year lease from a brand new Toyota Tundra and a brand new nitro boat. So,
High style and everything,
Yeah.
man.
Cool.
Well, I mean, again, I'm going to keep asking, how does that make you feel? I mean,
it makes me feel awesome. You know, I've used some pretty new stuff, but I've never had a truck with heated seats and cooling seats. That's
Heated
crazy.
seats.
Yeah.
It's all about
it's
the
the
heated
little
seats.
things, but those
It
things
is the
make a
little
big
things.
difference.
The
Yeah.
heated seats.
But the hard part is once you go to the heated seats and the cooled seats, you can't go back.
That's why I'm just going
I
to
can
stay
see
down
that.
here on the
Yeah,
bottom.
I'm staying low
on the
too with
bottom.
you, Danny.
But listen, I'm not going to lie. Of all the things you said, like, dude, it's got heated seats.
Yeah.
So there you go. There was some more stuff that you won. You know, you got the great trophy. And I know that means a lot, but tell everybody kind of the prize pack for winning the college classic.
Yeah, so you get your classic entry, your Opens paid for, and then those two, and then of course whatever sponsors come with it. That's kind of, you have like a group, Dynamic Sponsorships, that sponsors all of it. So they do all kinds of great work, give you like the ultimate connections, some of the best you could ask for in the fishing industry. And I haven't exactly like set those in stone yet, but I'm just kind of browsing the industry, you know, talking to people, making videos for people that have already supported me, especially like Humminbird Minn Kota.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing like all kinds of stuff for me and my partner, like all 4 years of high school and college. So of course I'm already pretty much, he's partnered with me pretty much. Mr. Bill Carson, he's awesome. You know,
He's a good dude.
He said he's going to try and
Good
do
dude.
whatever he can do to get the boat with the best on it that they can offer. So, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Now, have you worked on your cliches?
cliches.
Yeah, like you're going to get interviewed a lot. Have you worked on your
Oh.
interviewing? Like
Yeah.
when you get these guys, like you got Mercer or one of them come up. This ain't little old Danny Pruitt here talking. We're talking about some big dogs come up, or you got a reporter and they're like, you know, well, I did the best I could do today. We laid it out on the field, you know, whatever. Have you worked on that stuff?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I guess like 2 days after, I spent like 8 hours straight on the phone with just different people. And I was like, man, I'm going to lose my voice or something. Like,
Uh-huh.
this is crazy. But I think just doing all those is helping a lot. I think, of course, it's going to be a lot different because they have a Bassmaster Classic like media day. And I kind of talked to one of the directors of the tournament. He kind of walked me through the process of how all the things worked. He was like, yeah, you'll have a media day for probably 2 to 3 hours of interviews. And I was like, oh, okay.
I knew it was coming.
So
It's no joke. The Classic is a whirlwind. Like it is, if you're working it, if you're attending it, if you're fishing it, like on all ends, it's just a whirlwind, and it is a week long. Like it is
Oh, yeah.
more than a week long, honestly, of crazy stuff because you have a crazy practice period. You got weird off days. You got media days. The thing is, you just got to keep the momentum rolling because if you don't, you'll burn out. So it's just like figure out how to stay hydrated, how to try to get some sleep somewhere in there, and you'll be all right. But,
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be sitting up there on a podium, and you're going to have all these guys. Might even have somebody from Zimbabwe that you can't even understand ask you a question. Seriously, you got to be ready to answer them. That's
Oh,
why,
yeah.
you know, that's why I was asking. Have you even thought about what's the next step? You know, going and doing the fishing part, that's easy. That's what you're used to. It's all this behind the scenes and the interviews
Yep.
and the meetings and all that.
yeah, the fishing should be the easiest part of the Classic, right?
Like, I don't you think that all the pros finally said, like, if I could just do the fishing, that'd be fine.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's all the other stuff
It's
that's
all the
gotta come
hoopla
with it.
that makes it the tough part. It's not like any other tournament.
Have you received any congratulations from any name droppers that you
Yeah.
can throw?
Dave Mercer
Yeah.
messaged me. What's that one guy's name on it? He's a pro. I think John Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple other pros reach out, and then of course just like the people at Bass. Like I'm texted with Tommy Sanders, a couple of them. So just like all those people,
That's cool.
That is cool.
It's really awesome.
Oh, Easton Fothergill made a video
yes,
too.
yeah, he did
so that was
too.
pretty cool.
He actually gave me his number because he's already been through this. So I've been asking him some questions, getting a little bit of advice here and there, and he's been awesome.
Now let me ask you this: you come to the stage, you think you got it won. I talked to your dad kind of throughout the tournament. We were texting, back and forth and messaging, and he was a nervous freaking wreck. Right, and I told him I was too because we was rooting for you back here. When you were able to be announced the winner and you could look that man that's standing behind me in the eyes, I mean, describe that. Like, Dad, I know he's proud. Hell, I know if I ask him what he's going to say. As a son, from a father to a son, that's one thing. We always want our sons to succeed. As a son to a father, what was it like to look at him and say, you know what, all the help all the stuff you poured into me, we did it. How's that feel? You can tear up if you want to. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it felt awesome. It's like just like doing it, like your family always had your back. I think they dreamed of it like happening for you somewhat, and it just felt awesome. I was like, obviously they were all there. I was super pumped up. I was also concerned that I wanted to make sure they were all still standing, because they were just, grandma and grandpa.
Oh yeah,
crying. I was like, I hope you guys are okay. Like I'm a crier, but not like a crazy crier. So
right, yeah.
I was just like, I hope they're okay, and it was just like so much. Like as soon as you win, it's just like photo left and right. I'm just like, man. Yeah. So, but I think it really sunk in when you like on the way home talking to him, just all those things. And every day we talk about fishing. Like he's like my right hand man. If I need advice with something, he's on the internet figuring out what to do. So It's awesome.
Well, that's what I was sending a message. I'm like, dude, the last day, for those of you who don't know, now you explained it as a camera situation, but they couldn't have him on the live. So all we had to do was who was the guy you were fishing against? What was his name? You remember him?
Aaron Jackfield. Yeah.
Jack. Okay. So, but it was constant coverage of him. And I was sitting there going like, where's Dylan? Where's Dylan? Because we were watching here. I texted your daddy, where's he at? And I don't know, but pacing back and forth and all that. Now I told him, I said, he's not even my kid and I'm nervous for him. I can't imagine what the emotional roller coaster was going through that. The hell with you. We're more worried about your dad over there, like that. I know you're fine, but it was pretty cool because I could tell the nervousness in his responses.
Yeah.
He was so invested in it. And that's why I want to make sure that we kind of hit, how does it feel from a son to a father,
Oh yeah.
I know he's proud. It's got to make you proud though.
Oh yeah. It's definitely something I'm proud to do. Yeah.
You should be. Now, was your coach from Emmanuel there?
Yeah, she was.
What's her name again?
Pam Wells.
What did Pam say?
She was pretty fired up.
Yeah, because you told me she's a fiery lady like that.
Yeah,
she supports you guys.
Yeah, she was fired up. I think she was trying to not, overdo it because she's still battling her battle with health. But
right,
she was doing everything she could, and she's actually one of the only people I'm actually like really close with that's been to the Classic. So that was really cool. I think I'm sure she's the only coach in college fishing that's been to the Classic and probably had an angler go to the Classic as well.
Really?
I doubt there's anybody else that's done that I know of. There could be, but I don't think there is.
Yeah, I'm sure she was proud though.
Yeah.
Was she up on the stage? Didn't you have your college team up there with you at one point?
Yeah, we took all kinds of pictures.
And that was her up there? Because I didn't know all the people. Was she up there?
Chase came up and took a picture with me.
I saw Chase
she might have been up there too. Everybody was up on the stage at some point with me. So
she a very beautiful looking silver-haired lady, kind of short.
Yeah, that'd probably be her.
That's her. I saw her.
Grandma, they were all.
Yeah. You're very beautiful, Miss Pam. Just want to go ahead and say that from Fish, North Georgia. Very beautiful lady and a hell of a coach, apparently. But I will say this, and it's a shout out to Pam that when you were on the last time, y'all talked about how good of a coach she was and how invested she is in you guys, the whole team.
Oh, yeah.
And that's pretty cool because it's Emmanuel University. For those that don't know, that's in the northeast corner of Georgia, up near Royston or
it's
right
in Royston.
It's in Royston.
About 25 minutes from Hartwell, Georgia.
And that's about 30 minutes north of Athens, maybe 30,
like
45
30,
minutes.
45, yeah.
Yeah, Ty Cobb's from around there for those of you baseball guys like that. So Eric Richards, enjoyed seeing some old school stuff used too. That was pretty cool. I would say break it down percentage of time between topwater and Damiki fishing. Like how much time did you do one of the other?
Like 75-25. I really picked
you committed to it.
Yeah, because I was I was specifically looking for those fish. If they were I don't know. If I saw one sitting on a rock, I might pick up the Demiki, throw it down there. But most time I was just hauling around looking for those specific fish because I knew how aggressive they were and willing to bite, at least most of the time. So
Yeah.
I knew that they were also like the bigger fish, it felt like.
So were you scoping, looking for schools, and then throwing at them and trying to get them to come up?
Yeah, so I'd pretty much see them on the surface or a little bit down. I'd throw there, try to get them to come up. A lot of them were in like bait balls and stuff too. So I'd throw it over the bait ball and work it over there. Kind of makes the fish think, oh, they're schooling, and then he'll come up and just demolish it.
All right. And so when you didn't see that and you were going down with the Demiki, that was just isolated fish down there?
Yeah, they were like giant schools of like 10 to 15 fish that just, I think there's probably like a thermocline or something mid-level, and they'll either get stuck above it or below it. There's not much in that like middle range. So you'd see them, they'd be like 20, 30 feet down, and they would be taking off. I mean, like you think like herring fish swim fast. These fish are speed demons. Like I had the trolling motor on 10, and I was barely keeping up with them on the live scope. They were just.
Were you able to catch any of those?
Oh yeah, some of my bigger ones. I weighed one big one on day 3. It was a 3-pound largemouth, and then the final day I think I weighed a decent smallmouth doing it too. I mean, just like you think they're striper, and then they're just in their bass.
I noticed on the last day you're talking about smallmouth, the guy you were competing against, how many fish jumped right at the boat and they spit it out right there at the boat. It was the way those smallmouth were coming up.
Yeah.
You said you lost some too. I mean, kind of describe that for somebody from around here that doesn't or has never fished for smallmouth. They act a little bit different than a largemouth or a spot when you're fighting them.
Yeah. So first of all, they have like a smaller mouth. So obviously smaller mouth, less room for the hooks to get in it. But especially like day 4, the final day, was like the worst day. The other days I'd lost some, I think like the first day I lost a couple big ends, but I wasn't too concerned because it was 2 days and then our weights reset. So I was like, I just got to get through. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But the final day, I think like the first like 3 hours, tons of fish. Like every fish I would seen up to that point would almost at least come up and try to eat it. But I saw like 20 fish just either come up and nip it, swirl on it, not even move. And I was like, this is going to be rough. But then I finally just stuck with it. I went a little bit shallower, caught a decent 3-pound largemouth, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. And then at the end of the day, it was just on fire the last 2 hours.
And that's the last 2 hours we couldn't see.
Yeah,
that was, we had no idea.
Yeah, so I was actually in the creek I was in the last 2 hours. It's called Lost Creek on the map. I found that out.
Lost Creek.
Yeah, that's what it's called on the map.
Okay, makes sense now.
It does make sense. It was funny.
I'm going to ask you a question about the chug bug when you were seeing those fish react differently on the last day. Did you change your cadence or anything like that to try to trigger some strikes? Did you, what did you do?
So some of them would just come up and swirl and go like just straight back down. But there was a bunch that would like follow it the whole way and like almost like shark it. Like I could see them. And then I didn't really change my cadence much because I didn't think like I mean, if it's slower, sometimes if it's too slow, they'll just like stare at it and then really turn off of it if it doesn't make the noise and stuff like that. But I did notice, I caught even one of my bigger ones, it followed it for like 20 feet just under it, sharking it. And then I guess it finally, sometimes I try to make it like do like a quicker pop or something different and then make it react and just go and eat it. So one of my bigger ones did that for a while, and then I like popped it a little different and he came up and just barely ate it. I mean, barely.
Makes sense. So, you're on Lanier all the time in Altoona now.
Mm-hmm.
Chug bug's pretty popular on Lanier.
For sure. Spots. It's one of those that's like not advertised, but it's definitely talked about.
I know everybody says throw a chug bug, throw a chug bug. What's your experience, seeing fish like that? Do you see them come up and kind of they won't commit? Is there anything you do to provoke a strike?
I definitely try. I mean, the biggest thing is, especially when I'm throwing topwater baits, like if I'm throwing the OG or down under or a chug bug or a walking bait or something, you got to be changing up your cadence so much when you're running around the lake because you got to figure out what they want. And then this school over here on this island might think differently about their cadence. You could be like, hey, I tried this over here and it worked, but why is it not working over here? So you got to constantly be changing up your retrieve, I feel like. And so when you're trying to trigger that bite and you get it, like, hopefully you can go reapply that to other schools, but what if the other school wants it paused more or whatever? Yeah. Like, so trying to pop it hard, get a reaction out of them, especially when they get so close to the boat, you're almost like, well, if he doesn't eat, at least I tried, you know?
I had a guy in here earlier today in the shop and he was talking about top water and specifically a Chapo, but we got to talking about other things. And he was like, I got a 5-foot rule or a 10-foot rule. If they don't hit it in the first 5 or 10 feet, I'm just reeling it in. Now, are you like that with any of that? I mean, how close to the boat would you end up working it for you pull out?
Those smallmouth, I'd work it all the way. I'd sometimes work it down the side of the boat and practice, and they'd eat it.
Really? They're that aggressive?
Once, I think something about smallmouth, they're like really bad about when they get their eyes set on something. It's just their nature. They will like almost not stop.
It's like everything else blurs out. Almost.
Yeah.
It's like a muskie. Muskies do that.
Largemouth and stuff don't do that as much. But smallmouth, for some reason, they love to come see your boat.
I wonder if it's the size of their eyes, if that makes a difference.
It could be. Well, they're naturally.
Because I mean,
like,
spots kind of act like that sometimes too. Because the spot, I feel like, is a good in between. They're slightly cautious but very aggressive at the same time.
Largemouth are lazy to begin with.
But largemouth are just
they are lazy.
So that's probably part of it too.
They are lazy.
Yeah.
Now 18 inches was the legal. That's the legal limit on smallmouth to weigh in.
That's tough. Yep. Tennessee does that in a lot of lakes.
They do. How many 17-inch smallmouth did you catch over the course of the tournament? Or shorter, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it was a bunch, like more than 20. I even caught one my final day that I didn't measure it first off. I was like, I'm just going to see if it coals. I put it on the beam because it just gets tricky with the scale sometimes with smallmouth, just flopping. So I just beamed it. It beamed out 3 of my fish. It was bigger than 3 of them, but it was like barely touched. And I was like, this is getting kind of dicey because I had one that was obvious, easy. Right. And this one was just so close, but I was like, this is like giving me like a quarter pound more. I'm gonna have like, it's, I don't know what the other guy has. They don't tell you. Right. And I was like, I'd probably just got to bring it in. I'd seen some people with some pretty close ones. I was like, I think it'll be fine. Hopefully you don't shrink, but right. It's great. It's crazy. It's one of those things that can like, if it wasn't an 18-inch rule, I think there probably could have been some different people make the final day for sure.
All right. What is it on largemouth up there?
15.
15. Yeah. Wow, I wonder why an odd number. 15.
That's just to protect the smallmouth, I guess.
It's something like it's kind of like a slot limit ultimately. I mean, it's just trying to control the population.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, what is it on Lanier? Lanier largemouth is 14?
14 for a largemouth.
That's just on Lanier.
12 for a spot, right?
And on Allatoona, it's 12 for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what was your setup? I know a lot of guys will be watching this and he's throwing a chug bug. What rod, what's your setup for that?
I can't remember the exact length, maybe like 6'10", maybe a little longer than that.
Yeah.
It was actually the first rod I won in a fishing tournament in high school.
There you go.
So it was like,
pretty cool.
I won it, I think September or something, maybe my senior year. And it was a medium light, I think. And then I think I had a Shimano on it or something. I'm not really sure. Maybe a Lose. But yeah, it was a really old rod. I think some people were kind of talking about on the live that I had like the grips were all tore up, just one of those rods you just never stop using until it's destroyed.
Well, if you like it and you got confidence in it,
it's
that's my rod. That's my top water rod. Okay, straight what was it, braid, fluoro, mono? What were you throwing on line?
So
somebody's gonna ask.
I'm not a big topwater braid guy unless I'm in grass.
Okay.
So I was actually, this is going to sound crazy, but I was throwing 10-pound mono.
10-pound mono.
I like it.
That's just the way I like to fight smallmouth, is not like the lightest line possible, but just, I don't know, just the whole setup of a not as like stiff rod, everything else. And I felt like that really helped me land some of these fish in the end.
What brand line?
Big Game.
I see. That's exactly what I was going to ask, because that's Will Harkins right there. Berkeley Big Game.
Yeah.
Clear or green?
I've used both. I had clear on in this tournament, but I had both.
See, I like that.
Yeah.
I know there's some great expensive lines, but hell, you can get 18,000 yards of Berkeley Big Game
as much as you want.
I'm serious like that. But 10-pound, I know a lot of guys are like, oh, well, you got to throw 65-pound braid, or you got to throw heavy. But 10-pound probably helps you cast too.
Yeah, I think it helps me cast, and I think with the way I was working it, I think it helped work it too. And then just like, main thing was the hookup with those things, especially if they come up and nip it. You just like lean into them. It's got a lot of bend, especially. I think like smallmouth and spots are really bad about surging at the boat. And I think when you have a bendier rod, it helps like just absorb that a little bit, that shock, and not pop the hooks out.
Yeah.
So I think that was really helpful.
Okay, that makes sense. Pull up Philip's comment right there. You got Let's see. Yeah, right there. Yeah, while on Chickamauga this last weekend for nationals, it was hard to find one smallmouth the right size. You could only keep one smallmouth for weigh-in. Yeah, I fished a tournament up there, and it was 18 inches. You want to do one. Now, granted, we didn't catch the smallmouth.
Yeah.
The winning team did. We did not. We were all largemouth and all that. Did you have a preference going in? Were you specifically going to chase smallmouths, or were you starting out with largemouth, or did it really even matter?
So I thought going in, I was like, this is going to be like I said earlier, a buzzbait dominated tournament, shallow, because that's all that I've seen on the internet. So
right.
I think the first hour, like the first day, I mixed it up a little bit. I was like, oh, I'm going to try this, mix it up, run stuff. But I was running a lot of the shallow stuff, and it just wasn't happening for me. Like I was throwing over lay downs, skipping up under tree, all kinds of stuff, and I just wasn't getting bites. So I was like, you know what, the heck with this. Ran down to the dam just like I do on every other lake I fish that has clear water. And then I was like, this is just like home. So I'm staying down here.
Yeah. How much running and gunning did you really like compared to Lanier? We talked to the Emils and, the guys, 2 casts gone, 2 casts gone, 2 casts gone. You really couldn't tell that on the live, but how much did you do?
So they're not really like schooled up like herring fish. There's some that were in schools, but there's actually a lot of them I caught were solos or packs of 2. So I'd like run down like a stretch, and then I'd take off and hit another stretch kind of thing.
Okay, that's a little bit different. I'm not familiar with that lake. What's the predominant bait species on there?
Threadfin.
Threadfin. Man, threadfin that's not enough. That's not a lot of meat on threadfin.
No, you can tell too.
Yeah.
You could tell in the fish.
Yeah, every fish. I got into a few fat ones on the last day when I found that like big old pack of big ones, but most of every fish I caught was like the skinniest smallmouth I've ever seen.
Really? I want to ask this because when you were on last time,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about only near brush pile fishing and brim got brought up.
Yep.
I actually experienced some of that Saturday. Some of the fish were choking up brim. They were still in the gullet. What about you? Did you see anything like that, or was it just pure threadfin?
Everything I saw a little bit of crawfish, not much, but pretty much everything I caught like was throwing up threadfin everywhere in the floor. The boat was a disaster.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing, though, I like about this show. When somebody comes on and they say something, and then you get the experience, and they're like, damn, I remember Clint talking about that.
Yeah.
And, these fish were coming out of 40 foot of water with brim.
Yep.
With brim. So I wanted that's why I was curious as to what the bait fish were. Is that a Tennessee? Tennessee doesn't have any herring lakes, do they?
Yeah, Norris has herring in it, doesn't it?
I'm not sure. I think Tim's Ford would be a great culprit for it, but I don't think the Tennessee Wildlife Department would agree.
Yeah, why is that?
I'm not really sure. I'm not into the research part of it, but there's probably some reason. I think it's not native, so I guess that's why. But I also live on Lake Lanier, and I see the effect it has. I'm like, they should put these things in every lake.
Yeah.
So
I think we should put gobies in Lanier too, just double trouble.
Yeah, I think that
would be
pretty cool.
Yeah,
really.
Well,
how would that change it? Just out of curiosity, how would gobies?
They're little fat Snickers bars for them fat spotted bass.
I don't know. That'd be a tough choice for a spotted bass because they can either go up for the herring or wherever they go for the herring, or they can stay because gobies don't swim up to the surface.
Yeah, and they go deep too. So
yeah.
them spots could be chilling in the timber, and them little gobies
would get interesting.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
I don't know if gobies can live in warm water or not, though. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah,
but if they could, that would be crazy. But
I'd be willing to try it.
Champlain, I believe, has herring in it, and it has some crazy topwater stuff for smallmouth too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now I wonder, Champlain, is that natural herring that have come up through the river system? Because a herring is a saltwater.
Yeah,
it's a saltwater fish by nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Champlain connects somewhere to the ocean over there. I'm pretty sure. So I would think they probably came through the river. I'm not really positive on that one.
Okay. Worst experience in this tournament? Your worst experience?
Probably not being able to sleep the night before the tournament.
Yeah.
Just some other nights not being able to sleep. I woke up like the morning of the final day and I was just like, man, I ain't got no energy, Right. And then after I drove down the lake and fell in the water. Oh, that was
I was going to bring that one up. Yeah.
Yeah. Those two things kind of woke me up.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, if you were watching it, this man gracefully set the hook on a fish and proceeded to fall off the boat. Never lost the fish. But here's how you learn things. I did not know that there was a rule in Bassmaster that before you land the fish, you have to get back in the boat. Like you couldn't have just got that thing up, paddled, and you have to get in the boat to land it.
Yeah, I was like thinking about that when I was in the water. I was like, should I like just keep swimming?
Did
and
you
get
know
in
the
boat?
rule?
I had no idea. Like I had heard about. I know you're not supposed to like leave the water, get on land, go catch a fish behind the dock, or no, we can make a cat. Something silly like that.
Yeah.
But I never knew what the rule was on if you can like if you fall in the water. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I was either gonna reel the fish up and flip it in the boat, but then I was like, these smallmouth are crazy. Why would you do that? You're gonna reel it up and you try to grab that thing while you're in the water. That's not gonna end well.
Yeah.
So I was
End
like,
up
I'm gonna
with a
get back in the
smallmouth
boat
glued
and then
to your
I'll flip
chest.
him in.
There you go. Far Dog. Hello from Southeast Oklahoma, guys. You are the Hammers of Bass Fishing podcast. Well, thank you for the kind words from our friends up north. Or how I guess how would I consider them? He's not a Yankee. He's in
Midwest.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you ain't a Yankee, so you're good with us. We love our Yankee friends too.
South.
What the hell was going through your mind when that foot slipped, though?
I was like, this is really happening.
Oh, listen, and on camera too.
Yeah, I'm not like one that's like clumsy all the time.
Right.
I've fallen in the water once and it was like shallow water. It was warm, whatever. But yeah, I think when I fell in the water, I didn't even like react badly. I just started laughing at myself.
Yeah, well, I was laughing.
Like, oh,
Once I saw you were safe, I was laughing my ass off here watching.
Well, I don't think, no offense to the cameraman, he was an awesome dude, but when I first fell in the water, he didn't ask if I could swim or anything. He was just filming.
He was doing his job.
That's right. Man.
I was
And
like,
he's like,
well, I
I've
mean,
got
I
to
could definitely
capture the
swim.
moment.
It was
right
like
there.
viral.
I will give it to these hey dudes though. They kind of turned into flippers.
Hey, they are good.
Yeah.
But they're slick as shit, though.
Oh yeah, if you put some hours on them, they will get.
They
slick.
are. Like, I
Yeah.
about busted my butt. Did you know that rule, Clint? Because you're on pros and all that.
No,
All the time.
I had no idea that you couldn't land it in the water. But
Did
I
you
mean,
know
that
that,
makes
Ken?
sense.
You didn't know? Nobody knew that rule. I never heard of
Well,
it.
hey,
till-
you're a trendsetter, or you at least a rule reminder.
That's
you know?
right. You have taught us something by your
Yeah.
mishap. We are
Yeah.
all smarter. Number one, don't step on the side of the boat with hey dudes that are slick.
Yes.
And number two, get back in the boat before you land the fish.
Yeah.
And the bad thing about it was you did all that and it wasn't a keeper.
Yeah. Well, so looking back, I was kind of glad because of the controversy thing. I was
True.
like, I don't know the rules, but
Mhm.
I didn't have any service, so it's not like they could have called me and be like, "Hey, throw that one back." So that part was probably a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't know completely the like exact rule on that, and everybody in the comments when I look back, just like had completely different opinions. Like some were like, "It's against the rules," or some people were like, "Yeah, you can land it," and all this stuff. So I had no idea, but I think that's something that might get addressed now for the future, I guess.
Lord knows all the keyboard Karens had an opinion about that.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm sure they did. Interesting comment. This is why I love our comment section. I actually learn a lot from you guys. I'm about 80% sure, which is enough for me, that gobies came to be in the Great Lakes through freight ships' water ballasts emptying.
Yep.
So they're
For sure.
salt water.
I reckon. I mean, I don't. I mean, it makes sense. But what if they came? I don't know. I'm not the gobiologist here. I don't know.
Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about. Far Dog, I'm from below the Dixie line. All of our forts were Confederate forts. Well, you're good with us. Do you eat grits? That's the important question. That's honestly, anytime I find out somebody comes in the shop and they're like, "Yeah, I'm from New Jersey," and they've been in the South for a while, I go, "Do you eat grits?" And I either get, "Yeah, they're great," or "They're disgusting." So that's the question of the night: do you eat grits? And listen, guys, in the comment section, if y'all got questions for this young man or even Clint, throw them out there. We're definitely gonna throw it out there. We're only with shrimp. He eats grits and shrimp. That's close enough.
Yeah, shrimp and grits.
Close enough. I love a good. If you go to the Real American Road Trip season 1 down there on St. Simon's Island, that was my favorite as far as food episode that we did. I had enough shrimp and grits to puke, but I just kept pounding them. You ever had that?
I think I have before. I'm not a big shrimp and grits combination guy.
You do
I
eat
like my
shrimp,
shrimp
right?
separate.
And you eat grits, right?
Yeah, I just don't combine them.
You need listen. It will change your life if you get the right stuff. You got to have it right. You can't just go to Kroger and
You
buy
can
this.
do it wrong real easy.
Oh,
a lot of
you can.
restaurants do it wrong.
Yeah, up here. Now get down on the coast. Get down
Yeah,
there somewhere
yeah.
that does that. So we've learned if you fall out of a boat, get back in the boat. Anything else you could take from this tournament before we kind of transition on to your future and everything? Anything else from this tournament that you learned as far as you as an angler, or how fit? Maybe something you learned about smallmouth that you can pass on to the guys.
In terms of smallmouth, it's really different. So these smallmouth don't act like the smallmouth that a bunch of people see on TV, like Great Lakes smallmouth.
Mhm.
You know, you got your like Tennessee and Kentucky smallmouth, and they're like a different species almost than the ones up north. The ones up north are fat and they're
Right.
giant. You know, I think they're actually like 20 years old, most of them. And I don't think the ones down here are that old. I think they grow that in like 3-4 years
Right.
compared to the ones up there where they're like, I mean, I don't even call them dinosaurs. They're not that old, but the big ones, they've been around a lot longer than people realize.
I didn't realize that. Do you know about the age? John Aldrin, Big Easy Barbecue in Hickory Flat has great shrimp and grits. Hey, we're going to definitely do that. And Google confirmed round goby is native to the Black and Caspian Sea, wherever that is. Hell, that's in Russia, ain't it?
It's out
Hey,
there.
is that Russia? So gobies got here from Russia. Interesting. All right, so we got a question for you, Dylan. What's your favorite buzzbait setup? Rod, reel, speed type of line, everything. The whole kick and caboodle for a buzzbait.
Like a heavy fast, decently fast reel because I never want to lose track of them. And then line braid, you know, basic braid. I don't throw if I'm throwing around cover and stuff, especially with a buzzbait. I'm not going to be using mono unless if I'm using a whopper popper, I might put it on mono. But I really don't like getting into that kind of stuff when you get around like heavy cover and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because, you know, you'll throw over a tree, nick your line, lose 5 pounds. You know, especially when you're making so much cast around cover, you want to have the braid because you don't want to worry about all that. It's just way easier. And if you're doing something like that, they're not going to be getting a good look at your line anyways. So
I got you. How you hanging in back there, Alex?
Good.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are your fingers sore yet?
No, I'm good.
Okay, just want to check out there. Let's see. Oh, now listen, we're gonna get your opinion on that, and then we're gonna let you chime in on this one. Have you tried the new Rolling Strolling jig head with the cast fishing baits, and how do you like them? Have you tried that yet?
I don't think I've tried the cast one. I tried one other brand, and I haven't really.
Well, that's a queen
I haven't really
tackle,
had enough-
ain't it?
yeah.
The head's
Yeah.
a queen tackle.
I just haven't had enough time to critique it. I really like whenever I try something new, I want to go critique it on the water, like for even like days. You know, I'm testing it,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how it works the best. And I think it can be a really great product. I've seen like the things you can do online, but I've got to go out there myself and make sure I'm doing it right, kind of thing, before I use it in a tournament setting.
Okay.
So
All right. I know you got an opinion on it.
Well, yeah, I've thrown it a good bit. Got a hold of some prototypes too, so I've been able to play around with them. I think it's a really good approach to just having something different. I mean, everybody's throwing a jig head minnow these days. It's like, if you can't get a Sakamoto, what are you going to throw? That kind of thing. And I think they all have different action. Like you can have the one jig head minnow that has a rattle in it. Like it's something a little bit different. But do they eat it every time? No. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like any other minnow you put on there. I mean, they might just not react to it that day.
I got you. That makes sense. All right, pull up old Mr. Robert Alexander Green. What's up, buddy? Now, this guy knows his stuff. So, listen, that's correct on age. And he likes fishing for muskie. Muskie in southern and northern waters are similar, and we're talking about the smallmouth. Southern fish burn bright but fast. Northern fish burn low and slow for a while. So what he's saying is southern fish grow really quick. That they don't.
Yeah.
They grow really quick, and then the northern ones take a little time. And when you were saying that fish could have been a lot older, so he's, you know, if he says you're right, then that was a
they
good
get,
observation.
They get frozen for a few months out of the year.
That's why they bite so good. Hey,
Yeah,
you can only
yeah.
fish for them for like
So-
3 months up there or whatever. So, and that is also why it's a destination.
Oh yeah,
Those fish are hungry when you get to
yeah.
them. All right, Andy is back again. Shout out to Chris in the background. Put it on Clint's thing. Y'all can see that ugly mug back there smiling right there. Proud Papa back there. And of course, Ken's lurking in the shadows back there. But big part of your and Chase's success over the last few years has been their support. Dylan, talk about grandmother's fishing history. All right, so we got a story about Granny.
Yeah, so I think like from the beginning, of course, my dad was a big part too, but then also both my grandparents fished for years in tournaments. You know, it was like I can't remember all the trails, but they fished a bunch of them.
Okay, so it's in your blood.
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
they fished all kinds of them. My grandma and grandpa, they both traveled together for I don't know how many years. You know, Frank, he worked at Zoom for a while when Ed Chambers was there, like doing the crankbait stuff and all kinds of stuff. So ever since the beginning, you know, he taught me all this stuff from the beginning. So did my dad. they both put in the knowledge into me, you know, and my grandma. Can't leave her out too. My grandpa was kind of the burn down the bank guy, and she was always in the back, the Carolina rig lady. So she taught me everything I know about the worms. And then he would drag a worm too, but he loved his moving baits. So it was kind of the best of both. You know, you got to learn from both of them. And then they had a lake house on Lake Hartwell up in East Sonali Creek, so way on up there. That throughout my childhood, I'd love to see the amount of hours I spent on that dock fishing, but it's a lot. And then eventually I got to graduate to the trolling motor. And I was able to take it around the cove and fish. So I did that a lot. And then now we're at the big motor. So
I love it. So, you know, a lot. Here's the thing: is a lot of kids these days, they don't have that. Yeah. They don't have the grandparents or the parents investing in them, and unfortunately, like the iPad and all that has become the babysitter.
Yeah,
I think a lot more kids would benefit by mom and dad, papa and granny, whatever, getting their asses outside and doing something.
And it doesn't just have to be your family either. Like I know a lot of guys that didn't have anybody that fished in their family, didn't have anybody that was an inspiration, that they just randomly met a local guy at a tackle shop or something, like, hey man, let's go fishing. Like, yeah. And that's how they've learned. Like a lot of guys in this industry didn't just get it in their blood. I mean, I was fortunate enough that it was in my blood. My dad took me fishing, my grandpa took me fishing, all that. But there's a lot of guys I know in the industry that never had any of that. So like I never ever take that for granted. But also, just because your family doesn't fish doesn't mean you can't.
That's right.
So like it's all about the dream at the end of the day. If you want to chase it hard enough, chase it, work for it.
So you know, to jump on that, take a kid fishing. Take somebody fishing just for, you know, whatever. Take them fishing. Guy B, Lanier, we're a little Lanier question. Right? You can look at your phone. It's okay. You ain't got to sneak that. Was that your girlfriend?
No.
Was she asking about the comments about taking her to the basketball?
Oh, she's already asked plenty of questions about that.
She already asked you what she's got to wear and everything? Yeah,
she's already asked me date time.
Just like a daggone woman.
Apparel. I'm just like,
really?
Oh yeah.
Like it's hell. Like I ain't never been. That's what
I just sent her the link to the Bassmaster photo gallery from last year. I said, "Here you go."
Did you really?
I just said, scroll through this and kind of see what the thing is.
That's a smart
board. Yeah,
that's a smart move. What are you gonna wear? Just before we
fur coat.
Hey, Guy B, I'm gonna get to your question, but yeah, what are you gonna wear to the dinner?
Probably not anything too crazy. I'm a pretty formal guy. Just probably basic. I don't know if it's tuxedo or suit, one of the two.
Tuxedo t-shirt.
Tuxedo t-shirt.
Not tuxedo t-shirt, but
you ain't gonna wear jeans?
Probably not jeans. No, probably something.
I think jeans and some nice cowboy boots with a blazer kind of coat.
You got to keep in mind it is Texas too.
It is.
It is Texas. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
but you can't wear a hat. I don't think.
Yeah, you can't wear the boots and no hat. You gotta have.
But
yeah,
don't expect anything like Matt Robertson style out of me. I don't know if I'm quite into that yet.
Man, just let him be him.
Yeah, he's got that one covered.
I enjoy him, but there's only one of him. Let him be him. Well, that was in Nashville last year, right? He was in the fur coat. Had old Macy Watkins as his date.
That was in Knoxville.
Knoxville, yeah, I said that
2 years ago. Yeah,
that was a sight to behold, right there. Yeah. Him and all that. You got to grow your hair out like him too.
That's hot.
I don't know how he does it. He pulls it off though.
Yeah, I can't do that much hair. I had it once in middle school and it lasted like half a year. And I was like, I can't do this.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I had a football helmet, fishing hat.
I had a mullet in high school. Till I started playing football and I got a flat top.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it didn't take long. I don't know how them guys today have dreads in their helmets and all
crazy.
that.
Yeah. You should get dreads, Danny.
Huh?
You should get dreads.
Is this dread material right here?
You don't wear a football helmet anymore.
Ain't nobody dreading. They dreading seeing me with my hat off. Is what the hell it is.
Anything's possible with modern technology.
Yeah. That's true. I'm sure there's a pill for it.
You got a dream, chase it, Danny. Come on.
I don't have a dream of having long hair, though. I got
the dreadlock dream with Danny Pruitt.
Dreadlock. Could you see me? I think I might find me a dreadlock wig for Halloween.
You should. That'd be a good one.
Is it Halloween on a Thursday night this year?
Yeah.
I think we'll have to do it. We'll do it. We'll dress up. We'll do that. I'll find me some dreads. We'll do that.
I like it.
You gonna wear underwear? That's an important question. You're gonna wear underwear to the thing because I don't wear underwear.
Yeah, I am.
Do you? I'm just curious. I just want to make He's like, what the hell is that? Just trying to make you uncomfortable. No, there's nothing between you and me but a thin sheet of this little material right here. Just keeping you uncomfortable. All right. Anyway, back to the question. What's the secret to fishing in high winds? Lanier was kind of rough, high wind. So y'all had rain up there. You didn't really have any high winds, did you?
The first 2 days it was decently high, but it's it was so like confined in the mountains and stuff, and there wasn't like a giant open space of water that was really hard for it to like build up into something big. Like
Yeah.
it was windy, but like it was nothing.
It was not
compared
rough.
to like me going out on Lanier and Hartwell and fishing on those days. I like
Okay, well, let's say you're on Lanier today, and we got sustained 20-mile-an-hour winds or something like that. Crazy. What do you do? What's the
I'm
secret?
a crazy dude out there in it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. They bite.
Yeah.
Okay, what are
Yeah.
you doing though?
It depends on time of year.
Let's say right now you're going tomorrow on Lanier, and the forecast is for high winds.
I'm gonna go fish points, humps, whatever. Probably they're gonna set up wind blown, because the herring is gonna get blown over him. I'm either gonna throw fluke, fish head spin, spot choker's really good right now, and top water, and then maybe later in the year spinner bait, crankbait, shaky head kind of thing. I mean, you fish in the wind on Lanier, they bite really good.
I think so,
especially
too.
on a weekday. It's insane.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. It's your typical herring lake stuff. They'll actually eat it when it's blowing like that. It's just a matter of making the cast, because you can foobar up a cast real quick by throwing a bird's nest into the wind.
Oh, Lord, I know that. Now watch this. We're going to throw a curveball. Hey, kayak guy.
What's up?
Put that camera on you. Put that camera in. How do kayak guys fish in the wind?
I got spot lock.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you got spot lock.
I
You're
got
out
spot
there.
lock.
How do you fish a lake when it's really windy?
Top water.
Top water.
Yeah.
Throwing that top water, committing to it.
Or I'm finding a protected pocket.
And hiding, which is what I would do.
Yeah.
I imagine kayaks it's a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I get blown around with spot lock. So.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So I guess the answer there, Guy B, is get out there, number one. Number two, you mentioned wind blown.
Yeah.
You'd fish the banks that the wind or whatever the wind's blowing against.
Mhm.
You would concentrate on that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're comfortable with it, you guys got to be careful, wear your life jacket, things like that, because it can get a little bit choppy, but you don't always have to be in the wind, especially like when you have a really windy day, especially like a cloudy, you can go fish areas that aren't necessarily in the wind, but there could be a creek that doesn't ever get wind normally. And then on a day like that, it could get some wind, and you could sure enough catch some like big fish in there because they aren't used to it, and they'll go set up on stuff you don't ever see them set up on.
Just
especially
changes
like
their behavior.
big largemouth and stuff like that. Yeah, I've caught some really big ones fishing stuff like that. Like areas I only fish. If there's a day like today, I'm going over here to fish because I know some big fish, they're going to appear out of somewhere.
Fires them up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But if you're like us on Lanier this past Sunday, Bluebird skies with all the sailboats and the big cabin cruisers, hell, it might as well have been windy.
Oh, yeah.
I know Underwood took water over the bow of his boat like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, yeah.
Getting our feet wet. It was insane.
Yeah, my boat's in Trent's shop because of one of those wakes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember seeing on Alatuna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it was insane. But you know what? The fish were biting. So Robert says, that's awesome. A grandma that spoils you fishing is a rare thing. I was lucky to have one too. Well, there you go. So, it is pretty cool. Now, my grandma just made me butter and this is no lie. Like, Granny, I'm hungry. She get a loaf of bread, put some butter on it, sprinkle some sugar, and go here. And that was it. So she contributed to my pre-diabetic condition right there.
Mine did as well. She would make me an egg sandwich. But it would be 2 big pieces of white bread, as much Duke's mayo as you could possibly fit on a sandwich, and some scrambled eggs with a heavy hand of salt.
Yeah, that's the way they did it back then. It was margarine or Crisco and everything like that. We love our grannies like that. But mine would go, are you hungry? And if you said no, she thought you was sick.
Oh, yeah. She thought something was wrong
with
you.
What the hell's wrong with you? Ain't eating, boy. So anyway, you reading?
All right.
What are you reading?
This is a toughie.
Okay, won't you read it?
Watching Bass Live, I noticed the buzzbait toad were running on their side sometimes, not directly under the blade. Was that by design? Is it a different brand buzzbait? That
is somebody who is paying attention to details there, Jeff Frank. That's awesome.
I think so. That's some trick one, because I know some people throw a buzz toad without a blade, and that's on the surface. And then
like the horny toad?
Them, yeah. And then some buzz baits, like I know a double buzz bait, you got your 2 blades, and then some people, like the guy that won the national championship that was fishing the thing too, he had a double blade buzz bait with a toad in the middle. So I don't think it was even on the surface. I'm not sure. I didn't really look at it, but I want to say there's different designs, but I'm really not positive. Because you would think like every time you throw it, it's on the surface. but I don't recall it always being out to the side. I'm not sure.
I mean,
think there's
some guys
different
will rig
ones.
up like a chatterbait trailer. You can take a crawl and rig it up vertical just to give it a little bit different of a
Yeah.
swim. So I'm sure that's what he's talking about, is somebody just
He was coming hard with it.
I think that's what made it go sideways, probably.
It was his speed.
He was getting it back to get it back.
Yeah.
He was getting-
Almost just like a spinnerbait. You know, you reel a
Ah.
spinnerbait or something too fast and it starts turning sideways, you know. it's
Oh,
moving.
nothing irritates me more than a spinnerbait turning sideways. I can't stand it. But okay, so what our fine gallery back here is saying is he probably made his cast. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Made his cast, got out of his target range, and then was burning it back to make another cast, thus making it appear to run funky. It rolled.
I didn't notice him doing that.
So probably not on purpose. He probably wasn't doing the rolling part on purpose. That was just him getting it back in.
He's talking about Garrett, I think that's what he
Okay, well there you go. Makes sense. So you ever throw one of those like buzz baits? You're just a straight old fashioned buzz bait, or you throw the toad on it?
I do a little bit of both, depending on like where I'm at. I really like just a plain basic buzz toad because I just grew up doing that, you know, with
Comfortable
grandpa.
with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something a little more subtle. that
Yeah.
I like sometimes. You know, I've gone certain places and thrown a buzz bait, like especially. I guess it's sometimes more noisy. It can make them mad a little bit, especially in the spring. But I really still like my plain old buzz toad.
I got you.
Do you ever throw an inline buzzbait?
An inline buzz bait.
I've maybe
Nichols makes an
thrown a
inline
couple.
buzz bait, don't they?
Mhm.
Nichols makes one.
I've thrown it a couple times. It's just not something I like experimented with that much. But
Yeah.
I think it really could definitely work.
You need to
probably.
broaden your horizons. You got to
Yeah,
experiment
I
a
know.
little
I'm
bit.
really
there,
bad
dog.
about sticking with my select.
Throw that chug bug, baby.
So,
So
like
what is
baits.
like your select? So like being on Hartwell, Lanier, that kind of stuff. Like what's your strengths? Like what would you say is some of your strongest techniques?
I definitely would say top water because that's like a staple. Lanier, Hartwell, any herring lake you go to, and then I mean Threadfin Lakes, it's really good as well. You know, and then probably other than top water, like finesse fishing.
When you say finesse, are we talking doodling, or I mean,
Either like Demikian
Yeah.
or either shaky heading, pretty much worm, drop shot. You know, I've done. It's kind of like developed over the years. Like I'd say 5 or 6 years ago, if you went fishing on me on Lanier, I'm doing I always had a drop shot on the deck. You know, that was just something I did. But then as times have changed, I've noticed a different ways to pick up the bigger fish.
you know, it's gotten to the point now that I don't even when people say finesse fishing and they say shaky head, like I don't even consider a shaky head finesse fishing anymore.
I mean, it can be. It depends on what setup you're throwing it
Yeah.
on ultimately. Because I mean, I'm throwing a half-ounce shaky head on a bait caster and 17-pound, but most of the time I'm throwing a shaky head, it's with 10-pound.
Yeah, I kind of view it as the baits though.
Yeah.
When I think finesse now, you're thinking scoping, you know, minnow style baits and all that. But
Yeah.
shaky head used to
Yeah.
be finesse fishing.
Yep.
I just kind of to me, it's kind of morphed out of that a little bit. Let's see, there was another one. Well, first Sam says he feels like the toad is just for profile, and it could be very, very, very true.
It gives them something. Like I think a big thing is why they did it is it's a. So you think about a skirt, you got like all this stuff that's really spaced out. And
Yeah,
I think over the years, people picked up like, man, when I put a toad on this thing, it gives them a more solid target to eat. And I think it gives you a better hookup ratio because they can it gives them something to see more bright. It's not all spread out.
Probably
like
gives them
a bunch of
something more
shad.
plastic to suck
Yeah,
in too.
yeah, definitely. I think
got
that's
you.
why.
I got you. All right, so Dylan, if Dylan had 3 baits only for fall fishing, what's he using? And Alex, you get to answer this question afterwards, right there. So Dylan, 3 baits for the fall. What are you using?
That's
And now he's from Oklahoma,
oh, okay.
so he's a little bit different. So your answer is going to be Southern, of course, because you're down here.
Yeah. Well, see, around here it's kind of weird because you got like fall is what, like September to like December almost.
Hell, it could be the February.
Junk
coming in
fishing
here.
months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got like the end of summer where you're fishing like, I mean, offshore and all kinds of stuff, and then you go to the bank and you could even get into like wintertime ditch fishing,
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of stuff. So that's
We got a little bit
of
of everything.
That's a tough one, but around here I do like top water, shaky head, crankbait. I mean, there's so many options.
You
But
can't go
around
wrong.
him, probably Oklahoma. I bet they're probably like I think they transition hard onto like buzz baits and stuff out there. I'm sure. You know,
A lot of people are throwing buzz baits, those type of baits right
yeah,
now.
especially in those. I've been to Oklahoma once or twice, I think, and I think it was like Fort Gibson, but we were there pre-spawn. But I could definitely see out there where like fall, probably a jig, buzz bait, maybe a little bit of worm or crankbait.
Okay. All right there, Kayak Man. What are your 3 baits for the fall?
I like to throw the Evergreen SB 105.
Oh, hell, he's getting specific.
I
like
like
it.
We're throwing some
I like
like
to
brand
I
names
like to
out.
throw the spot choker.
Yep.
And I like a Seville or Magic Swimmer.
Okay, so Seville style bait, spot choker / underspin.
Mhm.
And then what was his first one? The Evergreen SP42
A walking bait,
6H-38.
AKA the Cane Walker.
Serial
Yeah.
number 682518398112. There you go. Hey, well, there you go. What about you? Let's go ahead and ask you that same question. In the fall, Clint, what are you throwing? 3 baits. You
I'd
only get
say
3.
a shaky head,
Yeah, you can't go wrong with a shaky head.
shaky head, a flutter spoon, and a crankbait.
Flutter spoon. After this
Oh, yeah.
weekend, I can see where that flutter spoon will really work.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, so John G. Wilson, right there. Hey, listen, dude, I appreciate you. You're always very good in the comment section, so I want to say thank you for watching. Me and 4 kayak bass fishing buddies are doing a float and fish down the Flint River tomorrow, putting in at Spruill Bluff. I have no idea where the hell that's at, but I'm sure it's a pretty cool place. Going to use the info that I've learned from listening to this podcast. Thanks, Danny. Don't thank me. Thank the guest. Thank all the comment people but I appreciate you watching, and I hope you stay safe, number one, on that river down there. And take some pictures. Take some pictures. Far Dog right there. There you go. You're getting better at this, Alex. In college tournaments, what was the most valuable lessons that you learned from across the country? That's a deep, deep thought question. What's the most valuable lessons?
I think one of the biggest things that was a shell shock to me is you go from like some high school tournaments are big, but when you go from like fishing, because in high school you gotta have a captain. College you don't have a captain no more.
Right.
So you gotta get in this boat. You gotta be like on point with all your stuff, charging the boat, making sure it runs right, driving it correctly.
You talking about being responsible?
Yeah, there's so many more responsibilities you got to pick up on at first.
Yeah.
And then even beyond that, like you're jumping into a tournament with seniors and juniors that have already been doing this for 3 years, probably been to majority of these lakes this style, fishing way more than you have already, probably traveling. So I think the biggest thing I did my college years was research is a big part. And then also you can research, but don't try to switch up too far from your strengths. Because no matter where we went, there was something I found that I could relate to back home and I could fish my strengths with. I think everybody saw that at Tim's Ford, and that's just something like, don't try to just go fish something you aren't comfortable with. Sometimes that can very much be applicable. You got to learn new things eventually. But if you're struggling, it never hurts to go back to your roots, especially when you have, these tournaments have 250 boats, these college tournaments. So you might be like, hey, I found a point. Well, so did 50 other people. So you've got to figure out, like, that's why I said fishing your strengths. You can fish your strengths probably better than other people. So sometimes, like, I go down the same bank as another dude that just fished it and fish it my way and catch fish all the time throughout college. Everybody thinks, I can't fish behind people. I'm like, well, I do it all the time and catch fish, just because they might go down there and fish the first 5 feet and I might go out there and fish 20 foot deep.
Yep.
So I think that's a big thing, is when you get into this, responsibilities, the number of boats, you just got to go with it, especially in college. I would definitely just enjoy it. It's a learning experience. That's the whole thing about college. Most of the time you're not blowing the bank up, you're traveling with a bunch of people, hopefully getting some school funding, things like that. So just go enjoy it, learn as much as you can. And I think it's a really good branch before you go into the big leagues, because it gives you experience on all these lakes, traveling experience. You're going most of the time with your team. So you got 15 other anglers there. You might have kids that have lived in this state before fishing it too. So all that together, I think, is one of the biggest things that you see so many pros that are like some of the best that came from the college ranks. And I think that's a big reason why, because those college kids are probably just as good, if not better, than some of the people in the opens. It's insane.
Oh, I bet. I have no doubt about that. And tournament day is sometimes not the time to try to figure out something new. Try something new that you've never had. You know what I mean? Like,
unless you get a weather change, then that's
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Brad Thornton, and he came out and saw us at the store that day, so it was a pleasure meeting you. This is a good question. getting out early mornings on Lanier before 6-ish till sunrise. What's a go-to? I've struggled till that waning hour fades. So that last hour or so before the sun gets up. Like if you were on Lanier tomorrow, say you get on at 5, you fish on. I mean, what are you doing in the dark till the sun comes up?
See, that's weird because like I think herring, they follow the sunlight, so they go up, and especially in the morning, like I have the same problem. If I was going out, most tournaments don't blast an hour before dark, so I don't really practice it most time. But if I were to be going out, I would probably do something related to the bottom, whether it's a shaky head or a jig, or go fish dock lights, or maybe run in the back of creeks and start with like a black buzzbait or something else. But if he's probably what I think he's doing is probably trying to fish these herring fish out deep and stuff, and they'll sometimes be up in the water column, but majority of the time you just don't see them. I don't know. I think they've got to be on the bottom. That's the only place. I've caught them on rocks in the first hour of the morning. Sometimes you can't even see them. They're just down there. You just got to know. But I think that's probably part of the problem. If you're throwing, everybody's like top water in the morning, but on Lanier,
It ain't.
It's
Yeah,
the opposite.
yeah.
It's weird because the herring, they follow that sunlight, so it's not
Yeah.
really applicable yet. But I think that's probably a good. If I'm going out before dark, I would try like a shaky head or something on rocks, or either run into the back of creeks or pockets and try a buzzbait.
That makes sense. So Alex is back there just shaking his head. So you concur with that.
I do a lot of fishing in the dark.
You do a lot of fishing in the dark.
Yeah, shaky heads work in the dark.
Shaky heads work in the dark. What about you?
100%.
I never thought about that when he's talking about the herring relating to the sunlight and everything. That makes sense.
I mean, it's all about your bait, right? Like you got to chase the bass by whatever the bass eat. So, I mean, whatever's up there popping around, like if them herring aren't up, you're not going to go offshore on a point and call them up with topwater, like until those herring get up. So that's when you're throwing a shaky head at the rocks, like you said. Like I think that's one of the best things you can do. Throw a crankbait, throw a spinnerbait up shallow, things like that.
Try to get a reaction bite.
Trying to get that reaction bite, but not necessarily calling them up because they're not necessarily looking up yet because them herring aren't awake.
That makes a lot of sense. You okay back there?
Yeah, I'm good.
The headset fall off?
Yeah, it did.
It's okay, man. Hey, you're doing great. Far Dog says them college boys are hammers. Shaden has, and I believe this is his son, Shaden has a college tournament on Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas. Dylan, have you ever been to Dardanelle? And I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, you're pronouncing it right. I have not been to Dardanelle. I've seen a lot of videos of it. I don't know if I watched them. I'm like a YouTube connoisseur. I'm constantly watching YouTube. I'll just go in the search bar and type college fishing and just watch all these other kids compete because that's just what I like to do. But I know it's a big shallow lake from what I can tell. So spinnerbait, frog, buzzbait. It seems like I think it's got some grass in it. I know it could be a tough lake, but yeah, I think it'd probably be, especially with it getting a little colder this week. They ought to be chewing shallow.
Yeah,
they should be. Tracy Coker says, "Hey guys, well, hey Tracy, glad you could join us tonight, right there." So, good dude, right there. Sal Pinto says that's some good advice. Like I got you all over the place, don't I? That's what I told you. I said, Danny's gonna have you running them fingers everywhere. So, let's transition a little bit now to the next step. First of all, congratulations. That's a hell of an accomplishment. I mean, that's like I said. There might be 10 people in the world that has that trophy right there. That's what would that be in a decimal? 0.0000.
Yeah.
A lot of damn zeros behind the point. So that's awesome. And when you and Chase were on the show a few weeks back, and you were trying to explain to me the whole thing, and I couldn't even keep up with the way the bracket worked. And I thought it was pretty neat. But then once we meet somebody and then we try to follow them on a tournament and all that, you kind of get invested. So I was watching that thing, watching you guys. And so that's a very impressive accomplishment. So I hope you realize just the rarity of what you did right there. So you ought to be proud of that. But now let's take the next step. You got the opens.
Yep.
So what are you looking forward to? Have they released the schedule for the
Not
open?
yet.
When do they release the open schedule?
Probably after they finish this open this weekend.
Yep.
Boy, can I rant for a second? They
They
screwed
up.
you guys at Bass screwed up on moving that tournament.
They are still having a lot of power and gas issues around there.
They may.
But
Yeah.
but I wish it was still in Hartwell.
Oh, now you probably didn't screw up. You probably made the right decision for your anglers. But damn, we wanted Paul and Emil on Lake Hartwell to fish.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so they're going to Lake Martin. It's Martin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They
just
should
came
be
back
fine.
from there like yesterday.
Okay, well, how's it fishing?
Yeah, talk about
It's-
that
talk about
insane
it.
tournament.
It's
Oh, was that what he was? You did an insane
yeah. So I
tournament
went
over
and
there?
fished that Logan Park's insane tournament.
Oh, let's
And
talk about
so
that.
It's a lot different than the opens are going to be because it's unlimited fish and the opens are 5. So
Right.
I didn't care what size I was catching. I was trying to catch numbers, but it was crowded for sure with all the practice people. But you know, I think there's a lot of options. I obviously didn't go up the rivers and the creeks there because I wasn't going for 5 fish. So I'm not really sure how that bite is, but there's a ton of fish in that place and they're aggressive. The only problem is most of them are 1.5 pound.
Oh, it's like hickory log.
Yeah.
Is it spotted bass lake?
Yeah. So there's spotted bass in there. So I think
I mean, is that what they're gonna go for? Spots over there, like
for the most part.
I'm sure.
There's,
I think
there's got to be some big, large.
the hard part's gonna be getting the big ones.
Yeah.
But I think for like, you know, Emil and Paul and them, they'll probably fish it just like home. I saw some, you know, I think I saw some things that they could capitalize on the way they fish for sure. It's just whether or not you can get a 1.5 versus I think the biggest one I caught there was like 290. So
they just need a decent finish.
Yeah, that's all. I mean,
they're sitting 4th and 6th right now.
4th and 6th. Emil's 4th, Paul's 6th.
Yeah.
Now, this tournament, this was the one. Is this the one where the college guy drafted the high school kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the tournament.
Yep.
Over there.
It
so
is.
you got to draft a high school angler?
Yeah. So in practice, you have 3 days of practice, and the high schoolers and the college kids submit all their fish. So the high schoolers, when they practice, they're trying to submit as much as they can because they want to like show out and try and get like be a high draft pick, you know? And so the college kids, the more days you practice, the higher up you're going to be, but it didn't really matter how much you catch. But I think there was like some rewards he gave out for the highest like amount you caught. But yeah, so you have a draft day. You had 3 rounds in the draft. So you practiced all 3 days you were in the first round. So they just draw everybody from the first round and then they call your name out. We were all in like a big, I think it was like some kind of indoor facility in Auburn. It was awesome. It was like crazy big, you know, everybody was in a room. We had a crazy announcer dude that was all hype and he'd call your name and then you just stand up and you just say who you wanted to pick. And you had we had a piece of paper that had the high school's angler, his hometown, favorite fishing technique, his Instagram, phone number. I mean, it had everything. It was like an NFL draft for fishing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was really cool because like we all sat down. We're like, man, I'm looking him up on Instagram. Let's see what he catches.
You're checking out his socials.
Yeah. So I think it was awesome. They get to jump in the boat with you. You get to practice one day with them, and then you fish the tournament. And I think it was crazy just the impact that will have on a high school kid's life. You know, just they were all excited. You know, we sat like in a row of tables here. They were beside us. They're all just looking like pick me, you know, kind of thing. So
oh my gosh,
it was
like
really
the dodgeball.
cool.
So, but unfortunately, that somebody gets picked last, right?
Yeah,
you got to deal with that. But
Yeah.
not is that? Let me ask you, what you based your choice on? Was it more of them fishing, or was it? Or let me rephrase that. How much of their social media and what you saw off the water affected your decision?
I circled a couple names. There was a couple guys local that I was like, you know, I'm going to pick, but they got picked in the first 5 picks.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So I took a day off because to just finish the bracket. I didn't practice the first day. I was like, man, I need a rest day and then I'll go practice. So I didn't pick till the second round. And by that time, I didn't know anybody on the list. So I went to the dude at the very second to the last from the bottom, and I picked him.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm just going, you know, I want to
good for you,
have
dude.
an impact or something. I don't know this kid. You know, I have no idea where he's from. Well, I saw where he was from Florida, so I was like, I doubt he's ever fished a herring or a spotted bass lake. So we're going with this guy.
Yeah.
That's what. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you got a room for. Eventually, there's going to be kids. You know, you've seen the NFL draft, and you get down to Mr. Irrelevant. You know, or like that. So good for you in picking somebody. Now, how was the experience for him?
I think he was kind of mesmerized.
Yeah.
I called him the night before or whatever, and kind of gave him the rundown of what to bring, and he was like,
I don't own that
I think
stuff.
my buddy has one in his tackle box. Let me see if I can get it. So we got some of them. I got him the next day, got him rigged up. You know, he was actually pretty universal. I think in Florida, he said he had fished a couple like brush piles and stuff before. Like,
and then brush piles were probably 5 foot deep.
Yeah, 5 to 10 foot deep. So
right.
Pulled up on the first spot and like 40, see a school of like 20 down there. I'm like, they're right there. You know, he throws over there, sees all of them rocket up. They're clobbering his bait, and he's just like reeling them in on a spin rod. And he was like, you know, I've never caught a fish in 40 foot before. This is crazy. And I was like, Yeah, we're about to do a lot of fishing out here, so
That
just
is
get used
badass.
to it.
That's
no,
cool.
like, seriously, and I'm proud of all that. But that right there, I like what you just said more than anything you've done.
Oh yeah.
Took somebody that has never done that, taught them something different.
Yeah.
That's good for you, dude. Now, did you tell him, hey, now listen, I'm the Bassmaster College Classic winner? Did he know who you were?
I think so. I didn't really like mention.
I know you didn't
that's
mention,
just kind
but
of how I am. But
yeah,
I'm sure once I drafted him, his buddies probably, I would think, let him know, because I saw him over there pacing around. Like I was like trying to like look at him and like say what's up, and I just saw him over there just like walking back and forth. I was like,
dude, I mean,
But-
just think of how that kid
It's got to
felt.
be nerve wracking too in that situation. Like when I went through college fishing, we didn't have all that fun stuff, but it's got to be nerve wracking being like, because like when I was that age, I didn't know what a drop shot was. Like I had no idea because
Yeah.
like I was so new. Like imagine these guys from Florida that's like didn't know what a herring was, you know? Like
That's what I'm saying. And then that's
but that's
awesome,
cool
dude.
that you took
Oh,
them
yeah.
out like
Hell
that.
yeah, I like that. That's
yeah,
good
he
for
was
you, man.
he was really good too. Like he picked up on it really fast, which I think a lot of kids do nowadays. But he was like,
Don't say that to the
He
old
was-
timers.
Yeah,
Y'all
he
can't
was,
catch fish without a live scope.
he was fired up to go back home, and whenever they get like these heavy rains, the canals down there, they draw them all out or whatever. So he was like, man, they just canceled school next week. I'm going down to Florida fishing all week until like I guess the next storm comes through. I'm sure he'll evacuate, but he said you can go fish those canals down there and just catch hundreds of fish when they start pulling that water. So he was
I bet,
like,
yeah.
he was fired up to catch spotted bass, but he definitely mentioned a few times he was ready to go lean on some large.
Oh, I bet he was. But can you imagine him going back to his buddies like, guys, we were fishing 40 foot deep.
Yeah, I know.
And they're like, no,
They're
man.
like, that's 10 of our lakes deep.
40 foot deep,
Yeah.
you know, and seeing the fish come up. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
That is a cool thing. Now, who ended up winning that?
I can't remember.
the
think
name. I
was a
read
kid
it.
from Montevallo, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's a familiar name. I just can't think of it.
Is this something they're going to start doing every year?
Yeah, this is his second year in a row doing it.
Okay, there you go.
So I think it's really caught on. The first year he had a good many number of boats, but this year he maxed out. I mean, it's just an unheard of format. You know, a draft and all that is, like you said, insane. Yeah.
I talked to some high school kids the other day. They went to a combine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a fishing combine.
Yep.
It's pretty
Boy, they
wild.
didn't have that stuff
Yeah,
a few
no.
years ago, and then sponsors were there and
Yeah.
stuff, watching these and college coaches or whatever, you know, like that. So
And shout out to Logan for starting that too, because like I think that's a really
Yeah.
cool concept because he didn't have to do anything like that. Like he could have taken his money and done something completely different with it after winning that big tournament a couple years ago. But like he chose to give back to like what built him and put him where he was. So I think that's pretty cool for Logan. Logan's good people. He hangs out with good people, like, and he always is trying to give back. So I think that's pretty awesome because look at how many lives that impacted. You know?
yeah,
He gave
Like-
away his boat.
Yeah.
he gave away his boat.
Yeah, he gave away when I say fully loaded, it was fully loaded. It
Yeah.
had tackle filled in the compartments to the
Yeah,
brim.
Trent Palmer rigged that thing up to the nines.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best college payout a tournament has ever had.
Yeah.
Like first 25K, second, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it paid down like it was
And somebody got a
crazy
boat.
payouts. Oh yeah, a kid got a brand new boat.
That's awesome. But again, that's another thing that doesn't get talked about
Yeah.
much when it comes to young anglers today.
Yeah.
All the news about young anglers is negative in the world.
Yeah.
In the fishing world, anyway, or it seems that way. So it's
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
for
It's
you
good
on
to hear the
picking that
positive
kid.
news,
Yeah,
yeah.
good for him on throwing that
And
tournament.
the event, it was in Auburn, and it was even crazier too because so we had like I guess a tour kind of thing where we all the college tables, we didn't even set them up. He set them up for us. He had tables set up with every school and their name, and then all the college kids go in, check in, they sit down at their tables for their school, and all the high schoolers come in, they can go and talk to every single one. So they made a circle around. You can go and talk to the coaches and the anglers from every different school. And then we got to go in. That was in the locker room. So there was like which Auburn was, of course, in Georgia getting whooped up on. But
That's right.
So they got to go in the locker room,
Dogs.
talk to all these people. And then we got to go see the stadium, like take a group photo inside the stadium.
That stadium, is that the first time you've been in that stadium?
It was, yeah.
That stadium is like when that place is full, those fans are right on
Oh,
top
yeah.
of you. It is
Yeah.
straight. Yeah, that's an awesome
So,
place.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's right. Now, did you have that trophy? I just want to know, did you have the trophy out?
No,
Man, you
it was
should
at
have, because I
home.
want to see all the kids just drooling over you like that.
You could
No,
just
I-
drill in a chain,
just,
having
just
a
put
necklace.
it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to a few, a couple of them recognized me, but I was just there
You know
enjoying
you're
it.
a celebrity now. I know you're a very humble kid, but
Yeah.
you're a celebrity now. That's what I'm saying. You got to work on them interviews, and you got to be
Oh, yeah.
ready because you're going to have all these important people asking your opinion on
Oh,
stuff.
for sure.
Yeah, look, it's coming. It's coming. Let's see. Pull that up, far dog. I've seen some guys fishing the credge by winding that POS like a crankbait in Highland Reservoirs. Dylan, have you tried the credge? I will tell you this. Emil Wagner was on 2 Thursdays. Was it 2 Thursdays ago? Yeah, because of hurricane.
Yeah.
And he was even talking about working it like a riser bait.
Mhm.
Like, it's pretty
Yeah.
versatile. Have you tried to throw it?
I haven't thrown it.
Apparently, he doesn't
ton,
like it because he's got POS right there.
But yeah, I think it's definitely a herring related thing.
Yeah,
that's
that's-
probably why. I'm not sure about it in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
You
no.
might be better off with a regular jerkbait there, but these herring lakes is
I would say that I got told by
Yeah.
somebody at Berkeley that lake was designed, that bait was designed with one lake in mind.
Yeah.
And that was Lake Lanier right down the road.
100%.
Now, will it work on other ones? Yes, but that's where it was tested. That was the lake that the credge was built for. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that is from somebody at
and I know they did the photo shoots on Norman, so it's like
Norman's, yeah, same kind of lake.
same
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, so he told me that when the credge was coming out, I was like, is it what you guys say? He goes, boy, if you're fishing on Lanier, it's going to be. Now, I don't fish it that much, but I was interested in Emil's comment when he said, because risers are pretty popular around here.
Yeah.
You know, you can work that thing like a riser.
And it's a little bit bigger too, so you get that when they start feeding on that little bit bigger bait, that herring, that when those thread fin get bigger, like it's nicer to have that profile, because the thing with the riser is you get stuck with either a riser or the bigger version, which has like a prop on it, cupped lip, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have that in between size where that can be a pretty good in between.
I'll say this about the credge: you can cast it a daggum.
Oh yeah, you can.
I mean, you can sling that puppy, especially if you got cast braid. There you go. Shout out to Cast right there. Let's see. Pull up Derek O. What's up, Derek O? Can the credge and riser pick off fish, or is it one of those where you throw it on schoolies where a wrench would catch it? No, it can pick fish off.
works on Martin.
Yeah.
Little riser bait, they love that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know about the risers so much. I know a lot of guys really throw them around here,
Yeah.
and they throw that little bitty one though.
when
I
it
mean,
gets
that's
small.
just
Small shad. It
Yeah.
works really
Yeah.
good.
So I guess you can pick off individual fish if you
Yeah.
can spot them and cast to it.
It's definitely more fun when you got 17 of them doing fireworks on the
Oh,
live scope
yeah.
after it. But
I'm telling you that. You know what I promised Kevin I'd keep what we did under wraps a little bit, but you know one of the things that surprised me the most about Lanier Saturday?
what's
The
that?
amount of catfish down in the timber.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
How many did you catch?
Well, a few, but just
A big old catfish?
no, they wasn't huge.
Oh.
They weren't huge. They just was like schools. Like you'd
Yeah.
go on a tree and it would light up like a Christmas tree.
Mhm.
And Kevin go, that's catfish. Like, how the hell can you tell? Of course, he's on the water every day.
It's all
Yeah.
about how they move. I mean,
Yeah, and
once
he took his bait, put it right down there, and boom. Yep, catfish. And sure enough, he brought up his catfish. That's what forward facing sonar to me really showed me a lot Saturday, was how he could tell the differences. And that's a school of stripers. Those are bass that are not going to play. Those are fish that are going to
and everybody
play.
talks about like just because you got the box means that you can do it or whatever, but like think about how much efficiency you increase when you can tell that's a catfish, that's a spotted bass, that's a donkey of a largemouth instead of this. Like if you can have that efficiency process, these guys that are super good at it, like Patrick Walters, Ben Milliken,
Yeah.
these guys, it's because they can differentiate and break down that water faster. You pull up on a catfish or like a bunch of catfish around some timber, you're moving on because like you're chasing after the next thing.
It was. I mean, have you got to that point yet?
It depends. Like, it's a lot tougher because I fish Lanier and Hartwell every day. There's like majority bass,
Yeah.
but you go to like Gunnersville, any TVA lake, or just like more so
Trash
dirtier
fish.
water.
Yeah.
Besides that one lake up there by Carson Newman, it's the only dirty water or the clear water lake I've seen so many trash fish. But you kind of just gotta. It's hard to explain it, really.
Yeah.
It just takes time. I think I'm decent at it, but there's still like I think the people that spend more time on Texas and TVA can probably tell way better just because they're so used to it, you know.
Because it's
So,
like a different
linear-
return. Like when
Yeah.
you look at a catfish, it's a little bit. It's about how the fish moves, but also the return you're getting back. Because like once that thing follows your bait all the way to the boat, you can see it stretch out long. But when it's at 100 foot, you can't see that. Like that's obviously a catfish. But the way it moves, and you have to consider the water column, where it's sitting, like how fast it's moving. And a lot of times, like this time of year, like a bass is moving fast.
Yeah,
And catfish are not necessarily hauling bass everywhere.
that's true. And it was set up like on that tree, and he was like,
Yeah.
those are catfish. And another thing that we could tell was the thermocline. Without seeing it like on your 2D and all that, you could tell where the fish were and where they weren't.
Yeah.
And it was pretty, and Kevin was teaching me that's the thermocline there.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot that can be learned from forward facing sonar. Take the
100%.
tournament part out of it. Just the learning aspect
Oh,
of
yeah.
it was absolutely insane. Bass Opens. What are you looking forward to? What are you scared of? Not scared might not be the right word, but you know, what's kind of like maybe some fears you got going in there.
I don't think you can use a net, which I didn't use a net in the classic bracket, but I think that's going to be a big change. You're not going to have a partner in the boat who can just be like, oh yeah, scoop them up, net them.
That's
done with
true.
it.
That's true.
You know, you got to do things on your own. I think I'm pretty sure you have a co-angler from what I remember.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've fished BFLs with co-anglers, but you know, the open co-anglers are probably a little bit more, you know, they're there to get into, I think a co-angler makes it in the classic too for winning the AOY and the opens. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not positive, but I think that's going to be different. And then obviously just, you know, you're traveling by yourself, kind of maybe with a group of people. I think I'm going to travel with hopefully Brooks. We're kind of getting that in the works. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do, but
Brooks thinking about fishing the opens.
he's thinking about it. He's not positive yet, but
I'd like to see him give it a shot. Yeah.
I think me and him talked about it a lot, and I think we're going to try and travel with each other for sure.
That's
So,
pretty
That'd
cool.
be cool.
Dave Aldridge, of course, my favorite Cajun cook is watching. We're talking about the catfish. It's a different return, and how they are set up is usually different. And it was a little bit different, but I was just, until you see a guy go catfish, no, call his shot on the catfish pretty much. And yeah, I told you it was a catfish. That's when it was kind of mind blown a little bit. You've kind of watched the opens this year. Have you paid any attention to, you know, of course we got some local anglers in there. Have you kind of watched, you know, from afar and just kind of try to take in on some mistakes they might have made or situations that might help you? I mean, have you paid that much attention to it, or are you just watching the scoreboard?
I've seen a couple make mistakes, but it seems like the Lanier guys in the opens just hammer on them from what I can tell.
Well, it's because you guys are great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really see any crazy things they're doing wrong. I mean, I'm obviously not there, you know, but
or maybe something you can learn from that you've seen them do, kind of like, okay.
I think a lot of them, believe it or not, have gone shallow for a bunch of fish that people are like expect them. They just think they're scopers. But I know Emil for sure I've seen online, you know, like he has caught some crucial, because he has that AFCO series. So you can see like he videos his tournament day and you can kind of like watch him and see like he mixes it up really good.
Yeah.
So I think that's something too that a lot of people don't realize is, you know, he's not just in the top 10 in the points from scoping all day. You know, he's caught some crucial big time fish, shallow, and doing different things other than scoping. So I think definitely staying universal is something to probably pay attention to.
And, you know, another thing too is he had one really bad tournament and he still yet just kept his head up, kept grinding, and look where he's at right now. So one bad tournament doesn't necessarily kill you. Now, aren't they changing the format though next year? It's a little bit different.
Yeah, so it's
kind of what?
It's 4, and then 3 for the EQs. So it's like 4 in the one in the.
They split it, right?
Yeah, Southern Division and the 4 in the Centrals. I can't remember. That's probably not what they're called, but it's 4, and then you pay a higher entry fee for the last 3 EQs. The top 50 from each division qualifies for the EQs.
What do you think about that format? Because Emil commented on that. He didn't like it. Of course, it doesn't affect him, but he didn't like it. I mean, what do you think? Would you have kept the old way?
It's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't really mind either way, but I think I see the point is, I guess, so you cut some people off.
Right.
But I would think that there's probably some people that could come back after 4 tournaments. I don't really know. But it gets weird because you have people who have different strengths. So you fish these first 4 tournaments that might be I mean, I'm not sure if you can really go up north certain times a year. There's a lot of factors like that
Yeah.
I think are going to be interesting depending on the schedule. So I think the goal of it is to make it more affordable, so you're not blowing the bank up to make the because you pay for all 8, kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that's the reasoning why. But I think it'll be interesting within the first 4 and the timing of it, because you have guys who have different strengths, different time of years, different locations, and obviously you can't fish up north as much during different times of year. So it's really, I think it's going to be interesting in the difference for sure.
I think one of his reasonings was because, take him for example, he had a bad tournament, but he had enough time to work his way back up. And when you get to the 3 EQs, you can't afford to have a bad tournament.
It's going to be so fall fishing oriented. Like you could get there and be either dominate all year, and then you get there and you're not the best fall fisherman and you don't qualify.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kevin Thornton, what's up, buddy? Tell the missus I said hello, and I'll see you Thursday night. Okay, so you got the opens, so you know what you got to do. Basically, you got to qualify through those 4 tournaments, whatever you fish, to get to the 3 EQs.
Yep.
Okay, and then that will get, if you do well in the 3 EQs, you get to the elites the following year.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's how it lays out, right?
Yeah,
10.
so it'll be a smaller field too. That could also make a difference because you're going from 50 from each, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's 100 boats compared to probably 200.
200 or 250.
That's half the field. So in terms of the weights, they're probably going to go up because you're going to have less pressure. So I think that's going to be interesting too to see how that is different. But I guess the elites have 100 boats, so maybe that's more so what they're trying to portray.
Okay.
So that could be interesting for sure.
All right, so since we got the elites, and before I let you go, the Bassmaster Classic. The Bass freaking Master Classic. You get to fish. Where's it at this year? Texas?
Yep. Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Ray Roberts
Lake?
Yep.
You ever fish there?
I've never been to the state of Texas.
So this is going to be all new.
It is.
You're going to take your woman out on a date. You get to hang out. But then eventually you got to fish.
Oh, yeah.
So mindset right now, when is that going to happen?
That'll be March 24th.
Okay, so look, my birthday's March 23rd, so you can win it for me. All right, but anyway, how much has your mind already started thinking about the actual event? Not the fact that you made it. We know that, but the event.
I think I'm kind of getting through, I just got through this other tournament, but as time goes on, I'm going to start hitting, I call it hitting the books, I guess, whatever you want to call it, but that's just what I do. I'm going to be looking up stuff. My off limits, I think, starts the beginning of January, something like that.
Now, when you say off limits, you talking about the water itself?
Yeah. So there's
you're already bound by the info rule, right?
Yep. Already bound by the info rule.
So don't be saying nothing in the comment section.
So I can't do anything like that from anyone that's fished the lake before, whatever. I can view public stuff and I can go to the lake and fish myself. So I'm probably going to try and make a trip out there just because Lanier doesn't have a tree sticking up in the middle of the lake unless it's really low. So I need to go and it's better to know a lake and learn how to run it beforehand rather than in practice. We'll just go with that.
Yeah. How big's that lake?
It's a good size.
I mean, big lake. Yeah. Especially for you got 56 anglers in the Classic, I think.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a good size lake for 56 anglers.
I got to do this right now because that way I can get it on film. If you win the Classic, I get the first podcast.
All right.
I got
and it is confirmed on your birthday. His championship Sunday is on your birthday. So it's the 21st through the 23rd is the actual Classic dates. 2020.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you going to the Classic?
You better be.
Well, actually, I was our TV show was thinking about actually getting a booth at the Classic.
You should.
I don't know. I ain't confirmed that, but we're going to try to.
Yeah.
We're going to try. I know we're going to start filming in Texas and work our way down to the Keys. I don't know how that works with that and everything, so it could be, but I'd like to.
I'll be there.
Will you be there? You won at ICAST.
Well, they didn't let me go, You
can go with me next year. If somebody don't let you go, you can go with me.
All
right. So anyway, so you're at the Classic. You got that ahead of you. You got the opens ahead of you. When you guys were here a few weeks ago and I was kind of talking to you, both of you kind of thought, well, I'm not really sure what I want to do in the fishing industry. In 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, man, it's changed for you a lot because I believe that was kind of your answer. I don't really know,
Yeah, I think it changes a lot when you get the backing,
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, you know, because you can almost fish stress free because you have a certain amount paid for. You know, you got a really good social media output from that tournament. So it really helps you with your connections, which is one of the biggest things you can do. So I think that part kind of changed it. You know, I've always like felt like I can compete in the opens, but it's more so of a funding and traveling thing. I think, which is there's probably a lot of people that have the same thing. You know, I think there's tons of people that can compete in the opens, but you just got to have the backing to do it. That's the hard part. So I think that's kind of mainly what's changed. Is just having the people behind you to go and approach this, and that's the cool format about like winning the classic bracket. It's like giving you a chance for a year, like with all the tools and necessities.
Yeah, and it wasn't just given to you; you earned it.
Yeah,
You earned it, which is pretty cool. You know, that's what I'm saying. So you earned that right and that backing and all that. But I kind of listening to you talk and all that. I was thinking in my head about you guys being on there. Well, I don't know. And now it's like, boom, it is right there for you to go take.
Oh yeah.
It's got to make you excited.
Oh, it does.
It does. So you're going to possibly pre-fish it. You get to possibly pre-fish that lake up until January 1st, and then it's done. Right?
Yep. I think January 1st.
January, right in that area.
I have it all written down.
And then you got to sit there and think about it. You
Yeah.
got to think about it.
So I'm assuming probably like 2 opens, maybe 3 before then.
Yeah.
I would think.
That'll help you out a little bit.
Yeah. So I think doing those, I'll be able to like fish out of the boat, get a couple tournaments under my belt, get comfortable with it because I've never driven a nitro. I don't even think I've ever been in one. So that'll be something brand new. You know, you just get all your things tweaked how you like it. You know,
Don't they set a little higher?
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yes. Yeah. So, tell Dylan I'm only 2 hours away from Ray Roberts. He sure will have a place to rest here at the house anytime. So there you go. So like, hey, listen, we got your room and board. Ray Roberts is 28,680 acres of fishing. So just a little smaller than Lanier. I'm sure different, but you know, Kevin says chasing your dreams. So I mean, it's pretty cool. That's what I'm saying. It's like in 3 weeks, man, it just seems like your world is turned upside down.
Oh yeah.
So, Dad, I mean, it turned upside down for you too.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Changed.
It has changed. You got to make some plans now for next year that you probably didn't think he's going to have to make. He's making reservations and all that. That is awesome. So, well, I tell you what, we've been going for a while and all that, and really, the next part that we can do is just sit back and wait and watch. You know, but I'm going to tell you from the guys here at Fish North Georgia. Proud of you. Like once somebody comes on and we make a little relationship with them, we follow them. And that's how it started with Emil and all them. And now we've got somebody else that we get to follow. So definitely proud of your accomplishments. I know there are guys out there that are probably very envious of what you get to do, you know, maybe even a little jealous, you know, in a good way, because he's living a dream. He's living a dream. So continue success. And, you know, I want you to be one of those Lanier guys that we can root for, you know, them Georgia boys when you get out there. But I think you represent us well. I think you did a fine job of that, you know, with the tournament. All right, so I just want to say congratulations, and I hope you go kick ass, you know, in what you want to do. So, but I appreciate you coming on tonight. And I know it's been a whirlwind and all that. So take you some time, enjoy it, get through the holidays, get your girlfriend a nice dress, and make sure you spend some time and some money on her so she's going to look good beside you and all that. But, man, appreciate you coming on and doing what you do. So anybody you want to shout out real quick before I end this thing?
Gotta shout out Hinkle. You know, he's always been there. K&S Marine, which is Kelly Patrick Marine, and then Spot Choker. All 3 of them have always backed me and supported me from the beginning, and also Nichols Body Shop. Those are 4 I can think of off the top of my head that are always, since high school, have been there. No matter what I asked, hey man, you want to spot on the jersey? Yeah, you got it, man. Every time. So that's
awesome, and you got to have the support like you were talking about. So that's really good. Some great local companies here. Here and that. So, and that's another thing you got to work on. You're gonna be standing up there. I'd like to thank, and you got to be able to boom, 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 nail it off. So, I got a feeling we're gonna see you on another stage, get another trophy. So, you know. Like I said, proud of you, and best of luck. Alex, you did a good job back there for your first time. It's different, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's different. You're going to get it. And, of course, Clint, hell, I ain't going to tell you. You know what to do. So you're your old Clint. So, guys, listen. Hey, listen. You guys need to follow Dylan on his social media. What is your social media?
Dylan Akins Fishing on Instagram, TikTok, and then Facebook is just Dylan Akins.
Dylan Akins. So, you guys give this kid a follow. Big things I think are going to be coming from him and down the line. So you won't be disappointed. There's some good content and all that. So again, you guys in the comment section, here's how I can tell people are paying attention. When that comment section is quiet and tonight it was relatively quiet. People are they're paying attention to everything you're saying and like that. So that's actually a good thing. So you got some people out there definitely paying attention to what you're doing.
And
so
have the normal menaces, who
Yeah.
they are in the comments.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Listen, sometimes when somebody comes on here and speaks, I watch it and you get some questions here and there.
Yeah,
But
that's
when
my
there's not-
sister.
But when you're not getting a lot of questions, people are paying attention. And
Yeah.
that's a very good thing. So you got people following you. But again, follow him. And guys, we're going to be back Thursday night with another live well. So you enjoy the rest of your evening, your Wednesday, and we'll see you Thursday night. So now, Alex, you can hit that end stream right there. We'll see you guys later.